What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football and Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers. Join me here this afternoon to talk about this ACC matchup pitting the Louisville Cardinals going on the road to take on the number 11 ranked Clemson Tigers. Help me out today is Jay McLovin from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Jay, how's it going, my friend? And how are we feeling about this game? ACC matchup here. Who are you going to win this one?
Yeah, I'm really actually excited to watch this game because I think it could be a fairly close game, and I think we could see an upset of Louisville over Clemson. And obviously, Clemson is ranked number 11. I think this is where Clemson could actually fall out of the playoff standings with a loss to Louisville, who's 5-3, and they're 6-1, obviously. We'll start off with the quarterback situation for Louisville. You got Show at 175. Out of 272 attempts at 2348 yards, and he's got 20 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And then you look on the other side of them for Clemson, you got their quarterback at Klubnik. There's a 146 out of 219 attempts at 1,836 yards, 20 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Klubnik. Because he has 2 less turnovers than what Show does. But here's where it gets a little interesting. When you look at the running game of Louisville and Brown, he's got 86 carries at 649 yards, 6 touchdowns. But Logan, he's averaging 7.5 yards a game. Or excuse me, 7.5 yards a carry. So his carry is 7.5. And then when you look at Clemson's Maffa, he's got 105 carries at 682 yards and 6 touchdowns, but he's only averaging 6.5 yards per carry. So I get
still impressive, still great though. Don't get it twisted. It's still great.
Yeah, both of them are definitely impressive. And honestly, I think both of these teams are going to be obviously heavily favored on the run side. So it's going to be interesting to see what defense or whose defense can actually control the run. Because I think that's going to be one of the biggest key factors of this game is who can stop the run more than the other guy. When you look at the wide receivers, you got Brooks for Louisville at 44 receptions at 799 yards, 8 touchdowns, compared to Williams, who's 28 receptions at 393 and 5 touchdowns. So obviously, the edge is going to go to Brooks for Louisville. So I think they take 2 out of the 3 categories Louisville does offensively. And that's why I think this Louisville offense could give Clemson everything and a bag of chips. Now I will tell you this: they lost to Miami, SMU, and Notre Dame. Those were the 3 losses that Louisville took. All of them are ranked opponents, right? Or at least I don't know. Is Notre Dame? Are they still? They're what, number 17 maybe or something?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, all 3 of them were ranked when they played them, though.
Yeah. So I mean, they're losing to ranked teams. They're not just losing to scrubs, right? And then, obviously, Clemson, whose only loss comes to Georgia. Well, that's understandable because, I mean, Georgia is ranked number 1 now.
Yeah.
So
number two.
Oh, excuse me, number 2. You're right. Oregon is ranked number 1. But at one time, though, Georgia was ranked number 1. And, and I don't know I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they probably weren't number 1 when when Clemson played them. But that's neither here nor there. Louisville dropped, like I said, 3 of the last by 7 points. Which fell to 3-2 in conference play. So they're not losing. It's not like Louisville's getting blown out, which is another reason why I feel like they could actually take Clemson out. Louisville has the 10th best pass offense in college football with 303 yards per game, Logan, in the air. So I think Louisville, if they can control the air game and if they can establish the run early and often, this Louisville team could actually upset Clemson and actually force them out of the playoffs, to be honest with you. Clemson's 3 key factors to watch out for is Carolina needs to get on the ground. Clemson. Carolina.
You're still in Carolina.
I know, right? Like, where did Carolina come from? No.
Yeah.
Clemson needs to get on the board early. They average about 42 points per game when they do that. So they need to get on the board early. Louisville knows how to put points on the board, and Clemson cannot allow or cannot afford to allow or for them to get off to a slow start again, like they did against Wake Forest in Virginia. Because I think, and that's what I was saying. That's why I was telling you, Clemson has to get on the board early and often because when they have played when they have played West Virginia, Virginia, and when they played Wake Forest, they got off to sluggish starts and they almost lost those two games. So it's very important for Clemson to come out and smack Louisville in the face early and often. They got to slow down Show. All right. They got to slow down the quarterback from Louisville. Clemson's secondary has done a good job defending the pass, but that's going to be huge for those guys. And number 3, they got to defend the run. For the love of God, that man cannot go for 7.5 yards per carry. They cannot afford that. Isaac Brown is having nearly an identical game to Maffa at 649 to 682 respectfully. But again, it's that yards per carry that really separates these two guys. And I understand it's only one more yard, but one more yard could be the difference of a loss or a win.
That's true.
Clemson runs the ball more, but Louisville, like I said, has a more effective running game. And that's not to say that Clemson doesn't, but they put up a little bit more than they do with less attempts. Clemson has the number 46 run defense, so this puts pressure on them, right? I mean, so when you got a good run defense in Clemson, and then you got a really good running back for Louisville and Brown, that's going to be the key component right there. Can they establish the run against a tough Clemson run defense? That's going to be, I think, one of the biggest keys. Louisville's run defense also is 59th. And they give up about 136 yards per game via the run. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have their work cut out for them. I think it just comes down to who defends the run the best. And I think that's the key takeaway from this game, Logan. And I think probably it's going to be, because it's going to be a run-heavy game, I think, with a little bit of passing thrown in. I'm going to say, I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 38-24 favor of, I'm going to say Louisville, believe it or not.
All right, upset here. When I look at these two teams, Jay, I mentioned earlier, and go check out the episode we did on Texas A&M's game. I said Texas A&M might be one of the hottest teams in the country. Well, Clemson's right up there if they haven't beaten them. As you mentioned, they lost to Georgia opening game of the season, so you could see, it wasn't like they lost by a little bit. They got kicked. They got beat bad. But and Jay, everyone was saying, oh, is this it for Clemson? Is the empire crumbling? Is Dabo Swinney washed up? Is he done for? Obviously not. I mean, they have been on a tear, dude. They have just been beating up opponents left and right, and not by just a few, by a lot. So when I look at these two teams, I'll start with Louisville. You mentioned they got some really good players in Brown, Shaw, their quarterback is looking great too. But I want to shine some love for Ja'Cory Brooks, their receiver, 44 grabs for close to 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Great year for him so far. And their defense, Jay. Their defense ain't half bad. 17 sacks on the season. They've got some good ballers there on the line. I mean, you've got Tramel Logan and Jared Dawson. Both those guys have 3 sacks apiece. And they can also get it done in the backfield too, right? 17 passes knocked down, 2 interceptions, but they are knocking a couple of them down. So, it is neither here nor there. We mentioned that, Louisville is an interesting team. They usually beat up on teams they should in terms of, they won 3 games to start off the gate. Then they lost back-to-back games against Notre Dame and SMU. Both the teams were ranked at the time. Beat Virginia by a few points. Lost to Miami only by a couple, Jay. That was a shootout, 52-45. Then they got the close win last week against Boston College. So we'll see how they can do against Clemson. But, Jay, I do want to put one name out there that and I'm not saying you don't mention it. I don't hear any national media mention it, Jay. But I'll mention it here today because much like we'll just go with the Pat McAfee show. We like to show love to some kickers, or in this case, I'm gonna highlight a kicker that you might need to watch out for if you are a Louisville Cardinal fan, Jay. And I say that Brock Travelstead, Jay. Perfect 36-36 on extra points. We'd love to see it, right? However, what do we see so often in college football? When you're facing a ranked team, night game, on the road, kickers tend to mess up. And I say that because when you look at Brock Travelstead's numbers on the year, Jay, we look at his field goals made. 15 attempts, only 9 makes. That is 60%.
Yeah.
I like to call him a classic college football kicker. Because we see nowadays guys are just drilling them for wherever. I need to see a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of action. You know what I mean? I don't want. It's fun watching guys drill 50-yarders and whatnot, but I like to be entertained. Of can this guy make this? And that's kind of what Brock gives me. So on the year, he's missed 1 from 20 to 29. He's missed 1 from 40 to 49. But Jay, he has missed 4. Count them 4. Only 1 of 5 from attempts from 50 plus. He did drill 156, but he has missed 4 others. So let's just say hypothetically, Jay, if this is a close tie game down by 3 and it's a 58-yarder, 50-yarder, 53-yarder, I don't know. I'm just saying. Just something to watch out for if you're Louisville.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this team is good. Like I said, I like Brooks on the receiving core, and he said Isaac Brown isn't getting nearly as much attention as he should. But this is a really good team, I think, and one's honestly kind of slept on. And when you look at Clemson, we know they've got some absolute monsters, of course, with Cade Klubnik, who's been getting better and better. 20 touchdowns, only 3 picks, only 5 sacks as well in the year. So credit to the O-line for keeping him up and being able to throw. Also helping out Phil Moffitt, as you said, 105 carries for 682, 6 touchdowns for that young man. Receiving core, you're led by Williams and Bringstool, who's your tight end. Those guys have combined 9 touchdowns on the season. And when you look at your defense, your big guys, who's getting sacks, who's helping your team out, T.J. Parker, 5 sacks on the season. Also, the exact same amount of sacks as Louisville, 17 as a team. But the difference is in the backfield. They have 34 passes defended and 9 interceptions compared to the 2 interceptions that Louisville has. Avion Terrell has 2 of those interceptions, and a bunch of other guys have the other one. So I think that Clemson will get a close win. And Jay, I brought it up earlier, might as well bring it to light. 31-28, 3 points will be the deciding factor in this Louisville-Clemson ball game. We'll see what happens. Night game in Carolina. It's going to be fun, man. I think that Clemson's been on fire lately. I think Louisville's going to bring the fight. It's going to be a good game, though. Once again, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when that kickoff's going to be. That's going to be live and in prime time on ESPN. Well, if you want to go check me and Jay out on ESEN, well, you can, because we have our link tree in the description. Go check out all the great work me and Jay do each and every single week over there. Once again, Jay, I appreciate you, my friend, coming on the show and talking this Clemson and Louisville football game. Guys, drop a comment. Who's going to win this one? What's going to be the final score? I'm going to hear it on Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you.